Hello, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments now so that I can answer your questions. I want to focus primarily on your questions today for the time that we have. But I wanted to talk about applying for immigration relief after you've overstayed, because there is relief out there, and I think a lot of people they think, well, I've overstayed, so that whatever she's talking about doesn't apply to me. So there are specific types of immigration relief that's available where uh, overstaying is a non-issue. As a matter of fact, it is relief that is there for you regardless of your immigration status. Now, for example, I mentioned here VAWA, the T, asylum. Those three types of immigration forms of immigration relief are there to assist you to settle here in the US, protected and safe, without worrying about what will happen to you without your immigration status, right? So, for example, with VAWA, this is where you can apply for relief if you've been mistreated by a citizen or resident spouse, a parent, or a citizen child who's age 21 and older. And a lot of people end up going into the shadows and not exploring their options because they believe that if this relative isn't the one to petition for them, and they've already overstayed, there's no way they're going to qualify for this. So VAWA is available regardless of your immigration status. So if you've overstayed your visa, you can still qualify for this. In many cases, if you've crossed the border without permission, you can qualify for this. And in some cases where you have past immigration violations or even offenses against you, you can apply for a waiver to get it pardoned while you're applying for VAWA, for your work permit, for your travel document, and for your green card. So it is well worth exploring whether this is a legal basis to be able to stay here in the US. Because that's one of the things that the themes that I'm picking up here as reading an article, and the article was highlighting the fact that immigration officials in the government are feeling whiplash right now because of the different immigration policies that they're hearing, the conflicting immigration policies that, and I covered some of that last week, where they're talking about getting started on removal proceedings for individuals who don't have a legal basis to be here. And then, of course, they have a policy where they have a certain priority. They're only prioritizing those individuals who have, they're a threat to national security, they're a threat to public safety, or their recent arrivals. Usually, for example, recent arrival usually refers to those who are going to go through expedited removal. If you've been here for less than 2 years, you've crossed the border without permission, then you could possibly be subjected to expedited removal. But the common theme that I'm seeing here is oops. Okay, just let me know if you can hear me, because I'm having some technical difficulties here. So let's see. Okay, just let me know if you have any sound, if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me on Instagram, because whenever I get interrupted like this or I get notifications, that sound tends to go out. So let me know if you're able to hear any sound, because I keep going in and out. Okay, good, good, good. All right, I'm gonna make this fast because I'm noticing that the internet connection is a little off where I am right now. So the common theme I'm noticing here is that if you don't have a legal basis to be here, then they will, make a move on possibly removal proceedings. So it's very important that you establish a legal basis to be here. So don't go hiding in the shadows. If you could possibly qualify for VAWA, qualify for T status, by all means, go ahead and get in touch with me and schedule an appointment to get started. All right, so not hearing. Okay. Let me know. Can you hear me now? Did it kick back in? Okay, it's back. All right, I'm gonna make this fast because the technology is not on my side today. So let me jump to answering questions. So the takeaway here is if you're out of status, you can still apply for this immigration relief. So don't hesitate to get in touch with me, schedule an appointment, go to the link in the profile. You can schedule your own appointment or call the office. Now let me go to questions. I'm going to quickly scroll through here. All right. Let me know if you can hear me because the interruptions are still continuing. If your spouse is on child support, will it affect your immigration application? No, not directly. If it affects the spouse's income in some way, if they're not meeting, so the child support is not going to affect it. What's important here, though, is that they are making sufficient income and that child has to be included in the household. So if they are in the household, it's of course going to mean that it's going to increase the requirement for their household. Um, all right, on YouTube, I overstayed and left the country, but I have a U.S. citizen daughter, 23. Will I get a bar? So if you now, yeah, it depends. When did you leave? If you overstayed more than 6 months, then it's a 3-year bar. If you left more than 3 years, there shouldn't be a bar. If you overstayed over a year, then left the country, then and 10 years has passed, that bar won't apply. But if you're still within that 10-year period where you left the country, it's going to apply and you'll possibly need a waiver. But the waiver to qualify here for that waiver, you're going to need to qualify for that waiver. You're going to need your to have a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident, parent or spouse. Unfortunately, your citizen child doesn't count here. Um, All right. Let's see here though. I'm gonna go ahead and answer questions here. Let me know, just one person, let me know if you can still hear me because I'm gonna try to make this fast. I'm seeing here not hearing, no sound. Let's see. Can somebody confirm whether the sound came back? All right, let me see. I'm gonna come out and then go back in. Okay, thanks so much, guys. So on YouTube, go ahead, put your questions on the comments. I've been having technical difficulties on Instagram, but please go ahead, keep putting your questions in the comments on Instagram. If you're hearing me now, I should be fine for a little bit. Go ahead, quickly put your questions in the comments. I'm going to answer your questions very quickly before we have the next glitch going. So as you can see, I'm in a different location, and I wanted to touch base with you, but the internet is not cooperating with me in this location. So just go ahead, put your questions in quickly. I can't access the questions that you put in before, so put those questions in quickly on YouTube. After NVC accept all fees and documents, how long after do they take to schedule the interview? It could take anywhere from a year to even up to 2 years. On average, I'm seeing a year and a half for most people. So it is frustratingly long. All right, what is the name of the relief you spoke about? So there's VAWA, and there's also the T status. Now, the VAWA T is for victims of trafficking. Trafficking comes in different forms. It's not trafficking doesn't mean that you got kidnapped in a parking lot and you are subdued. Trafficking comes in different forms. What I would say is, if you're in a situation where someone made you wanted to leave a situation, but that person, whether it's a relative, friend, a family member, employer, if they made you feel like you could not freely leave the situation, and you had to do work for them in the house, or you had to do work for their business, or you had to do certain acts for them, then that would qualify for the T status here. So T status. Now, for example, in consultations, a lot of people will be afraid to tell me after being here for a while that they did work without a permit. And, I eventually have to let them know that there's potential relief if they worked without a permit, but they did that under some form of duress, or they started working for the person and then found out it wasn't what it was supposed to be. And then they open up and tell me what happened to them. And it turns out that many of them do qualify for T status. So this is where it's very important to call, schedule an appointment, and tell me what you've been through. Everything you talk to me about is confidential. It does not go beyond this office. Is confidential, and it is there for me to understand your facts and help you to find the proper solution. So even if you work without a permit, you're out of status, this relief can qualify here. Now, VAWA, if you've been mistreated by a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident, spouse, parent, or adult citizen child who's 21 or over, you could qualify. What's the cost to apply for my papers? It depends on what papers you're applying for. If you're issued a visitor's visa and then later apply and are accepted into university into the US, would that pose a challenge for applying for a student visa? Not necessarily. You just have to show that you qualify for the student visa. Is COVID vaccine mandatory for foreign nationals going through spousal visa process? Yes, it is. How long does a VAWA case take to get approved? The entire VAWA process from beginning to green card is about 3 years to 3.5 years. For VAWA, it's a multi-step process. What I would say is, the VAWA process, if you're applying for adjustment of status at the same time, you get a work permit, and now they're issuing 5-year work permits. So, for example, my client just got 5-year work permit. So they're issuing 5-year work permits that allows you, while you're waiting for this lengthy VAWA process that can take up to 3 years, you have a 5-year work permit to hold you over until you get that approval. So the benefit here is you do get something to live your life here in the US while you wait for the process to go forward. How long after biometrics you get the work permit on marriage base? So biometrics is all over the place. So I usually just say 3 to 6 months after you apply. What about if you I was on a roll? Let me know if you can hear me or not. I was on a roll, but my sound is out. Hi there. Good evening, Alton. Go ahead on YouTube, Facebook. Don't hesitate to put your questions. It can be anything that's immigration related. I'm quickly going through and answering some questions here. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay, no sound. All right. Um, so I'm not, no sound. All right. I'm gonna, not hearing, not hearing. Okay. All right. More technical difficulties. So let me go back in. All right, put those questions in the comments. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and I'm on Instagram, but Instagram is really giving me a hard time. Put your questions in the comments now so I can answer your questions. What is the cost of adjustment of status if you're applying for VAWA? Right now, it's $1,225. How long does it take to get a work permit with VAWA? So it can take up to a year. So I'm seeing anywhere from 8 months to 12 months to get the work permit. What is VAWA? VAWA is where you can apply for your own work permit, your own green card, your own, basically status here in the US by yourself on your own without the spouse, the parent, or your child who's mistreating you. You don't need them to petition for you. It's a self petition. All right. So I see one person. Hi, Fanny. Thanks for joining me again. I'm waiting for others to join me on Instagram. In the meantime, please put your questions in the comments on the other platforms. So I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. My connection is a little choppy today, so this is why I'm having such technical difficulties. Um, So I'll go ahead. If I don't see any more questions, I'm gonna just head out and we can pick up tomorrow at around lunchtime. It's just that my internet connection is off today. All right, so I am going to be back tomorrow. I'm going to work on being back tomorrow where we can talk about an immigration topic and you can come back with your questions. Hi there. I sent my RFE medicals to the NBC a couple months ago. And does this mean interview waived? So it can be an indication that if the final thing they're asking for is your medical, that they are possibly going to waive it. Um, Hi there. Pleasure to be here. The question is a great year to apply for the tourist visa. So it's really going to depend on what your particular qualifications are. Because if you don't meet the qualifications, you're not going to be approved. Quickly, put your questions in the comments on Instagram. I'm going to head out in just a few because it doesn't make sense. I don't want to frustrate you any more than you're frustrated to have to go in and out. The deal is if the sound goes off this time, just look out for me tomorrow at lunchtime between 12 and 1, and you can ask your questions again. So if sound goes out again, we'll talk tomorrow. What if you pay tax and overstay more than 10 years? So there's no, there's what's called cancellation of removal. It's for when you're going through removal proceedings. So the only way to get that is if you're going through court. Still waiting. Would you advise anyone get married to a green card holder who has an expired green card? Have them apply for their new green card. But if you're out of status, it's going to still be a different process. So, having an expired green card doesn't mean they stop being a permanent resident. So you can still marry them and they can still petition for you. But it's always best for them to have current proof of permanent residence. Are there any green cards for medical reasons? So no, there are no green cards for medical reasons. Oh, I thank you so much for that. I appreciate the compliment here. Can you get a consultation even though you haven't started a process? Yes, absolutely. I would recommend that's when you apply, when you haven't started yet, because then you understand how to approach it from the beginning and you're not making mistakes. So never jump into your process first and then seek advice in hindsight. It does not end well. All right. So let's see. Do they issue a travel document while you wait in the VAWA process? Yes, you do have to apply for it, but we apply for it for our clients. But yes, it is possible. Now, whether you should be traveling, that's going to depend on your particular case. Um, I overstayed my visa for 4 months and I'm not married. Can I apply? It depends. So just by overstaying and remember, overstaying is an immigration violation, right? It overstaying in by itself is not going to get you status, but there is relief if you face circumstances that either cause the overstay or happened after you overstayed or before you overstayed. I filed for VAWA close to 3 years now, and I get prima facie. I don't, yeah, so it means your case is still processing. The good news is they're still renewing that prima facie, which means that you're still on good track here. If you weren't seeing anything, then it means that maybe something was off with your case. So um, it's still it still is a good sign. It's just it is taking long and it's not out of the ordinary. Um, you're not married yet, it's okay. Still get that consultation. It's very important to know your process before you even get married. Sometimes it helps to know, is it even recommended to get married or what you have to face during the process. It's really a good way to even for your spouse to understand what it's going to take to go through the process. So, can a green card holder give someone the papers through marriage and how long will it take? Yes, but if you're out of status, it's gonna your process is not gonna be as straightforward as adjustment of status to get the green card while staying here. What are the chances of a VAWA approval if a work permit was issued? The work permit does not indicate whether you're going to be approved for VAWA or not. It just they give you the work permit while you wait. Now, if the work permit has C31, which is the category for VAWA, like you get a work permit, you've been waiting for VAWA approval, and then you get a work permit that says C31 category, it means that you qualify. You got approved. All right. I think the sound is out, so I'm going to be heading out. But it was a pleasure to talk to you today. Look out for me tomorrow. Look out for me tomorrow on TikTok, Facebook, Twitch. Now, the sound isn't out on YouTube, Facebook, and um, Twitch, but it is out on Instagram, and the internet is very choppy. So I will have to call it a day. All right. See you tomorrow. All right. I'm going to type it. All right. Bye, everyone. Okay. Bye, everyone. See you tomorrow.